Okay, let's jump straight into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a truly spectacular, true story of high stakes financial strategy, ultimate betrayal, and what I can only describe as an absolutely flawless legal checkmate. Seriously, it is a masterclass in why you should never, ever underestimate the person sitting quietly in the corner. We're dropping right into the climax of our story here. Picture this. We're in a stark Nashville courtroom, and a smug husband named Michael thinks he's leaving his supposedly naive wife, Sarah, with absolutely nothing. I mean, he is literally laughing as he signs their divorce papers, totally convinced he's won the whole shebang. So, you've got to wonder, right? How does a seemingly dependent spouse pull off the ultimate reversal? How do you go from being laughed at to holding all the cards? Well, to understand how that smug smile was completely wiped off Michael's face just moments later, we need to hit pause and rewind back to the very beginning of their relationship. Part 1. Illusion of Perfection. A marriage built on lies. Right off the bat, there was a massive, fundamental mismatch between our two main subjects. On one side, we have Sarah. She's a hardworking accounting student from a modest Tennessee upbringing, someone who really valued savings and grit. On the other side, Michael, a law student backed by serious generational wealth and a family of traditional Nashville attorneys. This stark contrast basically set the stage for a marriage where Michael constantly belittled Sarah's background. I mean, while she was grinding part-time to build her career, he was out blowing cash on expensive golf memberships, luxury watches, just conspicuous consumption. He was actively trying to mold her into someone she just wasn't. And that brings us to the real toxic core of their marriage. Michael actively discouraged her from working. He'd frequently drop lines like, "Why exhaust yourself for pennies when I can give you everything you need?" And listen, he wasn't being generous here. He was attempting to mold her into a purely decorative trophy wife. He isolated her from her old friends, criticized her wardrobe, and made absolutely sure she possessed no financial independence whatsoever. He wanted her completely reliant on him. But, spoiler alert, Sarah wasn't going to remain a trophy wife forever. Part 2. Building a secret empire. The ultimate pivot. So, after a crushing argument where Michael refused to have kids because he claimed Sarah wasn't established enough to contribute, she quietly snapped. The timeline of her strategic rebellion is just fascinating. While Michael was supposedly working these late nights, Sarah took a tiny sliver of her paycheck and opened a secret bank account. Fast forward to month 6, and she had methodically built a boutique financial consulting firm. She was literally running it from their walk-in closet, using blankets to dampen the sound of her client calls so he wouldn't hear. By year 1, she's generating massive 40% returns for local clients. By year 3, she's locking down 6-figure national contracts. How did she scale it so fast without him noticing? Well, she used a really brilliant 3-step process. First, she identified massive cash flow inefficiencies for small business owners. Second, under the strict guidance of an 8-figure business mentor named Patricia, she boldly tripled her prices. Just tripled them right out of the gate to increase her perceived value in the market. And third, she didn't just hoard her cash under a mattress. She reinvested those profits into angel investing and AI tools. She even launched an AI-driven financial planning app that quickly gained 50,000 users in its beta phase. And she's doing all of this while continuing to play the role of the quiet, supportive wife at Michael's stuffy corporate dinners. Part 3. Betrayal and Discovery. The facade crumbles. Of course, maintaining a double life is completely exhausting, and the facade of their marriage eventually crumbled. The sequence of events here is just wild. It started with a highly suspicious text on Michael's phone from someone named A. Taking matters into her own hands, Sarah tracks him down and catches Michael red-handed at a restaurant kissing his coworker Amanda. And amazingly, when she confronts him, Michael flips the script. He blames Sarah. He calls her unambitious and boring. But the absolute final straw was when Sarah found a receipt for a $12,000 Tiffany bracelet hidden in his shoe, and shortly after walked in to find Michael and Amanda in their own bed. With unbelievable coldness, Michael demanded a divorce, confidently assuming Sarah would be left totally destitute. Okay, so here's where Sarah's strategic mind completely shifts from business mode to legal mode. The key concept here is equitable distribution. In states like Tennessee, marital assets are divided fairly, but you gotta understand, that doesn't always mean a perfectly clean 50-50 split. Preparing for the legal bloodbath ahead, Sarah consulted a formidable attorney. She learned exactly how the state would view their assets. Anticipating Michael's wrath, she began quietly backing up all her business files to secure cloud storage and moving digital records to a secret safety deposit box, which perfectly sets the stage for our grand finale. Part 4. The Legal Checkmate. Turning the Tables. Let's head back to that courtroom scene from the very beginning. Michael's sheer arrogance led him right into a meticulously laid trap. The disconnect between his reality and hers was vast. His lawyers offered a frankly insulting settlement, a $50,000 one-time payment and 6 months of living expenses. They assumed she had absolutely nothing to fall back on. But here's the kicker. While making this lowball offer, Michael was actively hiding his own assets and lying on his financial disclosures to protect his wealth. And let me tell you, that is a fatal mistake in family court. Sarah's attorney played this absolutely perfectly. First, she just let Michael perjure himself by hiding his own money on the official court record. Give him enough rope, right? Then, she systematically revealed his hidden accounts, including the exact funds used to buy that $12,000 bracelet for his mistress. It utterly destroyed his credibility in front of the judge. Only after Michael was completely exposed did the judge demand Sarah's financial statement, which her lawyer calmly handed over in a sealed envelope. The judge opens the envelope, reads the document, and reads it out loud to a dead, silent courtroom. It revealed that the supposedly unambitious wife had quietly amassed a net worth of over $5.2 million. Michael, the man who just moments before was literally chuckling while signing papers with a fancy pen, went completely white. He looked physically ill. And what's wild is how brilliantly diversified this wealth was. It wasn't just cash sitting idly in a checking account. We're talking a thriving business enterprise valued at $2.1 million, massive tech and startup investments making up $1.9 million, and $1.2 million in hidden real estate properties that she had discreetly purchased under an LLC. Naturally, Michael's lawyer jumps up and immediately objects. He argued that since she built this wealth during the marriage, Michael was legally entitled to an equitable portion of it. But the true, undeniable genius of her strategy lay in Clause 15 of their prenuptial agreement. It explicitly stated, any business enterprise created by either spouse without capital investment from the other shall remain separate property. The absolute poetic irony here, Michael's own family lawyers had drafted that exact clause to protect his future wealth from her. The bottom line is this. Because Michael gave her absolutely zero financial support, and because Sarah had kept a meticulous paper trail of emails and text messages proving he actively discouraged and belittled her business ventures, the judge ruled that the entire $5.2 million empire belonged solely to Sarah. Not only did she get to keep every single penny of her secret empire, but because of Michael's blatant financial deception regarding his own assets, the judge actually awarded Sarah a much larger share of the standard marital assets too. Sarah walked out of that courthouse completely liberated, leaving Michael's superiority complex in total shambles. Today, her company operates internationally, her investments are thriving, and she runs a foundation specifically designed to help other women achieve financial independence. She built a life of incredible value, while he was busy destroying the one they shared. It just goes to show that sometimes the very people who try to keep you in a gilded cage are actually handing you the exact tools and the legal loopholes you need to build your own empire. So it really makes you think, have you ever had someone vastly underestimate you only to prove them spectacularly wrong? Think about how you can use that underestimation as your ultimate fuel. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, keep growing, and I'll catch you next time.